Hey everyone, Ludi Loco here, and welcome to my attempts at a flying type only hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Y. The rules for the hardcore Nuzlocke are as follows. 1. I can only catch the first flying type of each route or area. 2. Any Pokemon that faints is considered dead. 3. No items in battle, held items are okay. 4. Set mode is on. And number 5. No overleveling. Aside from those basic rules, I will not be using Pokemon Me as it makes the game too easy. O powers aside from the money one, and any megas, not that there are too much to choose from anyway. In addition, Super Training will be used only because it really takes the grind out of EV training. It's one of the best additions of this gen in my opinion. Well, with all the rules set aside, let's fly right in. Flying types. These wonderful birds and others make up some of the most memorable and well-designed Pokemon. Fast, powerful, and always finding a spot on the team, flying types are the bread to our butter, or worms to our beaks, or some other bird analogy. Listen, you get the point. But what if you had a full team of them? Fast and powerful they may be, but flying types can't look at Pebbles, let alone Dwayne The Rock Johnson, without losing half their health, if not their life. Point is, they're fast, strong, and also as fragile as the wind they ride on. Anyways, Pokemon Y is the game of choice because it has absolutely excellent variety of flying type Pokemon. Now, I know what you're thinking. Pokemon Y? Ain't that some sort of baby game or something? Well, wise guy, maybe. However, flying types don't have the best time in the decadent region of Kalos. With a rock, electric, and ice type gym all in one region, flying types just have it tough. And speaking of the winged rats, we have a whopping 32 choices, Mama Arceus. Sadly, however, many of them overlap within the same routes or areas, and I won't be using Salamence even if I could run into one of those things, or Dragonite to prevent me from being a dirty Smogon player that just loves to set up. I think this makes things a little bit more interesting and makes Pokemon slightly harder if we don't have those options. I will also only be showing Pokemon that I use to save time. So with all that said and done, let's dive right into my miserable time with birds. First step of business is getting our starter. I choose a Fennekin so that Serena chooses a frog that will hurt us later. I nickname Fennekin Boxboy and shortly after run into our real starter, Earhart the Pidgey. It's in the Santaloon Forest that we run into our potential second member of the party, Right the Scatterbug. I won't be using him as he's still a bug type, so I'll be just keeping him in the back to, feed off the XP. In Route 3, I catch myself the third member of our merry band, Batten the Fletchling. Wowza, 3 encounters before the third gym. Compared to my last challenge, this is a godsend. Anyways, here are the 3's natures. Earhart has a naive nature, plus speed minus special defense. More speed never hurt anybody. Right has a jolly nature, plus speed special attack, which kinda sucks as his special attack is pretty decent. And then Batten has a jolly nature as well. Hey, not bad. Fast birdies being faster is better than slow birdies in my book. Well, with the team more or less complete, we take on the first gym. As you might have guessed, it was a total breeze. Viola wasn't much of a threat, albeit her Surge Kit gave us more trouble than needed. Otherwise, the bug gym was, as you might have guessed, pretty darn easy. I'm going to include this next encounter only because it's funny because I caught an extremely useless male combi that will serve as decoration for my Pokeball. Good riddance. Once in Lumio City, we meet with Professor Sycamore, who proceeds to battle us. The battle went pretty well, with Earhart taking care of the 3 Kanto starters. From here, we are offered the choice of the 3, and I, of course, choose Charmander. I won't be using the little lizard, but he will be singing a Pokeball, leeching from others, feeding on the XP morsels. Once our business in the big city is complete, we make our way to Route 5 and catch ourselves Quimby the Doduo. On the way to the second gym, Fletchling evolves into Fletchinder, and our Spupa finally becomes a Vivillon. By the way, Charmander has a quiet nature, plus special attack minus speed, which I'm completely fine with. Doduo has a lax nature, which is plus defense, special defense, and it's alright for me. On the path, Pidgey evolves into Pidgeotto, and Charmander becomes a Charmeleon. I catch Coleman the Ducklet, a fine addition thanks to its water flying type, and Cochrane the Zubat, who I capture with a luxury ball to make the friendship grind a little easier. Of course, on the next route I don't run into a Baggin because it's a 5% encounter, but instead I catch Satin the Drifloon. Of the 3 captures, Ducklet has a quirky nature, which is neutral, no pluses or minuses there. Zubat has a quiet nature, plus special attack minus speed, which doesn't matter since Crobat is faster than a jet engine and will still be. And then Drifloon also has a quirky nature, which is, as you know, neutral. Next on our plate is a freaking sky battle, something we can do with more than enough ease because we are the conquerors of the sky. The sad excuse of a Pokemon known as Ledian gets eviscerated by the mighty Batten, proving our title. At the Glittering Cave, we run into Team Flare, the highly highly fashionable and highly terrible band of criminals that don't offer much of a challenge even to flying types. Jeez, the trek to the second gym was a long one, but after finally making to Sillage City, we pass it by to get one more encounter, praying to the Pokegods that my first attempt doesn't end abruptly. Our luck holds, and we run into Tereshkova the Hawlucha, who's timid plus speed minus attack, which quite frankly sucks. Less raw power from a Hawlucha, whose design is impeccable, is a bit of a letdown, but what can you do? Next, we gotta make it through the horror house that is the second gym as we make our way cautiously towards Grant, dodging what trainers we can and having to deal with the ones we can't. One such trainer had a freaking Lunatone and Soul Rock pair that made things rather difficult. Add to that, I let both Batten and Earhart overlevel, and now I had 2 less options going into the fight. Part of the reason why this game is so darn easy is because every Pokemon that you defeat gives you so much XP because you now have the XP share, and you have to share that apparently. But I mean, you're just over leveling. Next is Grant. Whoever did this man's hair needs to give a refund. Look how they did my man. Leading the battle, Tereshkova knocks out Amara with a single karate chop. Rock Ice. Who thought that would be a good typing? Hey, I ain't complaining. I take what I can get. Next is Tyrant. I hit him with a couple of rock smashes to lower his defense, and thanks to Hawlucha's fighting type, he resists the rock tombs. Tyrant gets us good, however, and a crit comes close to knocking out Tereshkova, so I switch for Coleman as Grant heals, and the water pulse hardly does anything. I switch her out for Wright, who takes a bite not so well, and after landing a stun spore, hit the Tyrant with a draining kiss. Now, thanks to its weakness to all things glitter and pink, Tyrant takes some massive damage. Sadly, even with the paralysis, Wright gets clobbered by a literal tomb made out of rocks and dies. His sacrifice isn't in vain, however, as Tereshkova delivers a suplex to win the second gym. Phew, I thought this gym would claim way more lives, but thankfully the power of a Lucha Libre bird and a pretty butterfly saved it from disaster. Rest in peace, Wright. You'll be missed. After burying Wright, we make our way to Geosend, where we run into Karina and her 2 Lucarios. Why does one girl need 2 Lucarios anyways? I mean, doesn't it seem a little sus? Either way, she puts up a good fight, but the Bird Bros do a good job in taking them down without too much trouble. At the end of the battle, Zubat evolves into Golbat, which is pretty nice. Funnily enough, Golbat then evolves into Crobat after a battle on the same route. Love your Pokemon, folks. Give them a nice ball to sleep in and plenty of massages. There we have another Sky battle where we keep our title as Conquerors of the Sky and move towards Reflection Cave, where we nab Lindbergh the Woobat. Woobat's got a bold nature, plus defense minus attack, which I really can't complain about, and at the Tower of Mastery, Serena challenges to a duel of the fates, where Crobat proceeds to completely wreck her team with his raw power and speed. I mean, I really grew to love this purple little dude. Surprisingly resilient on top of great utility and damage. Jeez, what a guy. Or gal in this case. After that, it came time to battle Karina for realsies this time. Crobat, being a freaking champ, destroys Karina's dream. Her pathetic Hawlucha could do nothing in the face of this complete beast. Well, I mean, the fighting gym was never going to be much of a threat. Who would have guessed? After the battle, Karina tries to hook me up with one of her boyfriends. I decline politely and tell her to enjoy her evening, and me and the team fly away. Soon after, our balloon Thadden evolves into a Driftbloom on the following route, and on the way to the 4th gym, pick up 2 very key items. First is a Silk Scarf that will boost Earhart and Quimblee's stab booster return, and an Embargo TM that will be very crucial, as you'll find out later. Before the 4th gym, Serana challenges us, and this time Tereshkova takes the reins to deliver some Lucha Libre justice with the help of Thadden. The 4th gym, as you might have expected, didn't put up much of a fight before Beaks and Wings. Ramos does try, but it's pointless because grass types are no match for flying types. Duh. After earning our 4th badge, we deal with some Team Flare shenanigans, and I couldn't help but laugh at what these 2 guys had to say. It's funny to think 10-year-olds are running around in the Pokemon like some sort of vigilante cops. Also, this guy, who in a bad situation finds a way to make some fast cash. It's during this mission that Ducklet evolves into Swanna, and Pidgeotto becomes Pidgeot. The Team Flare admin stands no chance against us, and after returning power to Lumio City, we head to the 5th gym. Electric. Shit. Pardon my French, or Calisonian. Listen, folks, this was my biggest fear. This was, and still is, the make it or break it line. The point of no return. Folks were going to die, and I sadly had to choose who. Thankfully, at least the gym was pretty cool. I mean, I really loved this quiz motif. It made the gym feel really unique, even if it was freaking easy. A lot of Pokemon Y is like that. Playing through it again made me realize how much I really like this game, and with some ways to make it challenging, it can certainly be enjoyed. Anyway, watch Earhart deliver this freaking cool Silk Scarf boosted return. Nice. After beating the quizzes and trainers, I did some prep work, teaching how Lucha dig and giving it a soft sand which boosts earth type moves to deal with Magneton. For Driftbloom, I taught it Embargo because it was soon going to go down like the Hindenburg. Arceus, forgive me for what I'm about to do. Emolga leads the battle, and I know that this sad excuse for a flying rat is going to go for Volt Switch, so I go for Embargo. Now Embargo prevents the use of held items and medicine items. I simply can't afford to let Magneton heal because I don't have anything to deal with it. After that I go for a Hex to deal some damage to get rid of Sturdy on Magneton as it goes for the kill, and so falls our glorious balloon. Bye Thadden. Tereshkova comes out to avenge Thadin, and a soft sand boosted dig does the trick, and then Helios comes out as I go for another dig. It deals over half, but it's not enough, and Tereshkova dies to a crit Thunderbolt. Talk about overkill. Earhart gets revenge on Heliolisk, and then Emolga comes out and for some reason goes for Quick Attack. I guess with no buddies to back it up, it can't go for Volt Switch. Silk Scarf return deals some devastating damage as Clermont goes for potions like the wimp he is, and after another return, unfortunately get paralyzed thanks to static. However, Earhart doesn't play around, ignoring his paralysis to deliver another return and ending the battle with a quick attack. So the 5th gym is defeated and a badge earned with a heavy price. Looting Tereshkova was a real loss. After that battle, I pull a stupid and get into another battle with Serena that I just didn't expect. Swanna dies. Air Slash fails to kill when, I should have gone for Surf, but what's done is done. We wipe up the rest of the battle, but my idiocy claimed another valuable member of the team that would make the rest of the game easier. Believe me. Feeling downtrodden, I make it to the 6th gym and deliver an honestly very messy battle. By the way, I forgot to update the counter at this point. Well, it's sadly very much still dead. Dudes, I didn't even bother leveling the team to the cap because I felt so lost. But Mawile gets taken out by 2 flame charges, and a return does some decent damage to Mr. Mime as it sets up a light screen. I almost get it down, but after a reflect, return hardly does any decent damage, so I spam Roost until the reflect ends, and with Batten in the red, I switch Earhart to take down Mr. Mime with the return, and from there the battle ends with Cochrane using a Toxic Concilion and spamming Venoshock on it. Pretty sloppy 6th gym badge, but hey, what's done is done. On the following route, I catch Hartman the Murkrow, who just refuses to get caught with Ultra Balls, so I just used the Master Ball. Soon after several switch training, Charmeleon evolves into the mighty Charizard. By the way, did you know that Leon from the newest games has a Charizard? I know! He has a freaking Charizard, ain't that cool? Soon after, Woobat evolves into Swoobat, and on the next route over, I catch a useless as hell Delibird that quite frankly I don't care about, but will serve one purpose later. I'll let you guess what that is. Well, with the team more or less prepared and a hasty strategy concocted, I go to face the 7th gym. I lean with Lindbergh and set up some Calm Mines as the Sigilyph goes for both of its screens, and its attacks considerably do less and less. Thankfully, Charge Beam can be taught to Zubat, else this battle would have been very difficult. So Sigilyph gets taken down as Slowking comes in. Charge Beam does great damage, and though Yawn hits, Charge Beam keeps chipping away, forcing Olympia to use potions. Now this is where I put on the dunce cap. I go for Air Slash instead of another Charge Beam, and remember folks, if it says 95% accuracy, that actually means 9.5%, as Slowking moves its thickness in such a way to avoid attack to deliver another Yawn. The result? Lindbergh dies in his sleep from a completely preventable death that I could have avoided by just switching him out. But Earhart mops up the end, but boy did I mess up. With another member down, I bring back Doduo, who evolves into Dodrio, and shortly after we do some Team Flare plot and deal with Lysandre. His team isn't all that threatening, except for a freaking Gyarados, with its bulk and power after mastermind a brilliant strategy involving Toxic, a little Toxic stall, and a fly from Earhart takes out the Gyarados and the rest of his team. We then get a choice, blue button or red button. Which do you choose, Neo? I chose the red because I hate life, so everyone dies. Alright, so I go back and hit the blue button, and everyone still dies because the guy with the funny hair dude is a freaking liar. Go figure. I then go deal with Lysander once more, and the fight is essentially the same. Toxic on Gyarados, stall with Protect, and then switch into Earhart. You know the drill. The rest of the fight is pretty similar, albeit with a few calls, otherwise not bad. And next is a gauntlet of Flare Edmonds, and apparently Mr. Worldwide is one of them, Pitbull. Guess that soundtrack for Aquaman didn't work out so well. What follows is a pretty cool cinematic of Yveltal being resurrected. Unfortunately, we have to catch the thing, and my dunce cap wearing self got a freaking Murkrow with a freaking Master Ball. So timer ball is ready, I begin the arduous process while contemplating who could die. But he gets caught with the first one, so melodramatic much, huh? Forced to use Yveltal in this next Lysander fight, I use his godly powers until he dies. He chips the Mega Gyarados, so that's pretty good, and I of course go for my now signature Poison Strat to wear it down. Aqua Tail does do some brutal damage, but its Protect gives us enough time for the Toxic to do its work. And from there, with Team Flare done, I head on and go to Terminus Cave, where I get myself a Dust Stone. Murkrow then becomes a Honchkrow, and in the very same cave, I catch Hoover the Noibat. He has a lonely nature plus attack minus defense. I don't mind even if Noibat is more of a special attacker, at least it doesn't lower his speed. After that, I get into a Sky Battle where the trainer has a freaking Aerodactyl. Thankfully, it misses a Stone Edge as it's toxic and hit with the Venoshock, and then an Acrobatics takes it out and the threat is neutralized. Note to self, be careful with these bastards. After that, there isn't much left to do but to deal with Wolfric, the 8th gym leader. His team is made up of ice Pokemon, and I have two very good options to deal with them. Obama Snow takes a single flamethrower to the face. Cryogonal puts up more of a fight, but just ends up wasting potions for Wolfric. And last out is Avalugg, and I use the coolest fire type move, the signature Fire Starter Blast Burn. With a puddle around my feet, I now have all 8 gym badges. I slide down like a cool guy and make my way to Victory Road. The next foe is the one I've nicknamed the Gatekeeper. Before dealing with him, I grab Warner the Delibird because he has a very important job to do. I talk to the Gatekeeper and the battle commences. He has a Carbink that knows Stealth Rocks, the bane of all birds. His very name is a curse that makes all flying types shudder, especially Charizard. So I lead with Cogran as usual as I go for a Taunt to prevent its setup, Toxicate, and go for Toxic as it hits with some brutal power gems. Sorry, I meant Venoshock. But anyways, the Citrus Berry keeps Crobat topped up, and I stall it out slightly using Taunt along the way to prevent Stealth Rocks. Once it's low enough, I go for Venoshock, which wipes it out, and then Raichu comes out, so I switch Delibird in to deliver the message, and he dies brutally. I then switch in Quimbley, who now has the Silk Scarf, who takes down Raichu with a single return. Kingdra is last, and despite a scary Ice Beam, he takes it down with 2 returns. We can then pass through and make it to Victory Road, and then Licky Tongue ruins the moment. It's here that I realize I have to pass the water, so for this purpose only, I dig up Swana's dead corpse and ride it around like a boat to cross the water. It's here on Victory Road where you have to pick your fights wisely. Everyone and their mother has a rock or electric type move hidden somewhere, so it's best to avoid fights that don't need to be fought. It's on the road that we run into Serana again. She's surprisingly tougher this time around, most of which I attribute to her Greninja. We toxic it out and deal with the rest of her team, with Deloroach almost dying. Quimbley takes care of the rest, and thus the last rival battle is finished. Here's where something terrible happens. Almost near the end, an unavoidable fight takes place where the dude has a god-forsaken Gigalith. I quite literally have nothing else to deal with this brute, so Batten burns it with a Will-O-Wisp before being taken down by the world's most devastating Stone Edge. Now, nothing I have deals any decent damage, so I go for Protects with Crobat to slowly wear it down with its health low enough. A crit Thrash takes out Gigalith, but that freaking sucks. This dude has been with us since the beginning, and now he's dead. Thanks, random Gigalith. Thank you very much. Before taking on the Elite Four, I make some preparations. At the Mover Learner, I teach Noivern Dragon Pulse. I then need more heart skills, so I teach Thief to Crobat, head to Route 9, and begin nabbing heart skills from the Love Disc there. Once I have more than I need, I go back to the Mover Learner and teach Boom Burst to Noivern, then Dragon Claw and Air Slash to Charizard. From there, I get myself a Draco Plate for Noivern, and finally head to the League. I enter the Decadent Chambers and decide to go for Dravna first, as Noivern will be more than enough to deal with her. By the way, way, these Elite Four are decadent as hell. Their rooms are so grand that they might actually equal the cost of a single bike in the Pokemon world. Anyways, unfortunately, the footage for Drasna got heavily screwed up. I honestly don't know what happened here, but rest assured it went by smoothly, with her Dragalge being the only one to withstand a Dragon Pulse. Equipped with a Draco Plate, EV Train Special Attack. I mean, who would have guessed? Sorry for the mishap though. So 1 down, 3 to go. With the issue fixed, next is Malva. She isn't much of a threat, and with the combined powers of Dodrio and Noivern, we make short work of her, with Noivern living with 1 HP like a G to deliver the last blow. Now, the next two are rather challenging. I go with Cybold first because not only does he have the Water Rock Barbaracle, but he also has a freaking Gyarados. Everyone and their mother seems to have this Pokemon. He leads with Clawitzer, which by the way is my favorite water type of Gen 6, and I take it out with Returns, while Cybold uses a full restore in between. Next is a Barbaracle. Before this battle, I taught Quimly Protect to deal with one thing: Stone Edge. Now, Stone Edge apparently has only 80% accuracy, but we know for opponents that's actually 100%. It also has 5 PP, which means I have to survive 5 Stone Edges. Thus comes in Protect, which takes care of 1. I then also taught her Fly to avoid 1 more, so that's 2. On the landing, Arceus graces us and gives us a Miss, so that's 3. And I use another Protect, so that's 4. From here, I switch into Earhart, who I taught Attract, and I use a Heart Scale so I could remember Feather Dance, both of which are very underrated moves. I then use 3 Feather Dances to lower Barbaracle's attack, and then switch into Crobat. I use Attract so that I could whittle it down with my signature Toxic Stall, and Black Sludge keeps us nice and healthy while Barbaracle dies a slow and agonizing death. Next up is Starmie. I know this thing will go for Psychic, so I switch into Heartman, who's immune. A Dazzling Gleam hurts us, but a single Night Slash takes out Starmie. And last is Gyarados. I switch back into Crobat, who takes an Ice Fang pretty well. I use Attract to hopefully immobilize it as it goes for a Dragon Dance. I then go for Toxic, and the Attract holds, and I manage to get a Venoshock that deals more than half of its health. And even with Dragon Dance, the Pseudo Dragon is too slow for our Crobat, and it takes another Venoshock to the mouth. And with that, 3 down and 1 to go. Now, I saved Wickstrom for last because he has one problem Pokemon: Probopass. So before the battle, I teach Dig to Charizard and equipped it with Soft Sand. And then it's time. Klefki becomes Molten Metal as a flamethrower torches it. Then Probopass comes out, and it's here that I have to make a choice to sacrifice someone. It's not what I want, but it has to be done, and Honchkrow has enough damage to actually put a dent into the highly defensive Probopass. Night Slash does a decent chunk as a Power Gem rips holes into Heartman. From here, it's almost a sweep, with Charizard taking the Probopass out with a Dig. Flamethrower turns Scizor into Sludge, and 2 Flamethrowers deal with Aegislash. Rest in peace, Heartman. You deserved better. And then, just like that, it's time. The final battle with Diantha. Leading with Charizard, it takes out Hawlucha with a single Air Slash as it foolishly goes for a Swords Dance. And the next is Tyrantrum. I go for a Dig boosted by Soft Sand, which does a little over half, and then Tyrantrum goes for Head Smash. Mamma mia. Charizard unfortunately dies, but takes along Tyrantrum thanks to the Head Smash recoil. Of course, because I hate myself, I chose Flying types, and Diantha has 2 freaking Rock types, so we have to be wary as she sends in her Aurorus. I send in Crobat as my only hope is that Attract can immobilize it enough to land a Toxic to begin my stall. It's here that Aurorus has been transformed into a complete simp for Crobat. It's even setting aside some cash for its OnlyFans, as he is too overcome to do anything. Completely fine by me. You simp away, my friend. Venoshocks hardly do a thing, so the waiting game takes its time. Once low, Aurorus gets a full restored, and anticipating this, I of course hit it with another Toxic. So 1 full restore down, 2 to go. I'm taking a hell of a lot of risks with this, but at this point I either take my chances or wipe to one of Pokemon's easiest champions. Boy, would that suck. My luck holds enough that I consider heading to Vegas, and after another full restore to another Toxic, the process repeats. A Blizzard misses thanks to a 70% accuracy, so I guess it's not bad, and the plan continues uninterrupted. I might as well start buying flight tickets from the look of things as Aurorus goes down. Then Goodra comes out, and I sadly can't seduce this thing, so I Toxic it instead. Man, oh man, is Crobat the GOAT or what? I've never used one before, but this one has definitely made it to my top 10s because how good it is. So then Goodra finally goes down, and next is Gorgeist. I switch into Quimbly, who takes it out with a single fly, and last but not least is Mega Gardevoir. It goes, you guys are gonna hate how I said that. It goes through its whole Sailor Moon transformation only to be hilariously destroyed by a single Silk Scarf booster return. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, this run is complete. Or is it? Because there's one final battle with AZ. Now, funnily enough, I slapped a King's Rock onto Noivern because I knew Gudra would easily live a Dragon Pulse and wreck him. So I wasn't going to use him, but I was thinking of switching him in for somebody else. So in this battle, he completely destroyed AZ with some of the darndest, most luckiest flinches I've ever seen in my life. So with that, okay, now the run is actually complete. Well, that was something. I really loved this run, and playing through Gen 6 again was a complete delight. Going back, I was reintroduced into a wonderful game that had its challenging moments, but with improvements like super training, the EV training wasn't even tedious, and overall it was completely fantastic. Using flying types only was also more interesting than I initially thought, and it certainly showed me that there's more to a bird than just pure strength and speed. So with that, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and the run. Drop a like if you liked it, subscribe if you really enjoyed the video, and remember to leave a comment on what sort of challenge you would like to see next. The next challenge is going to be a steel type only hardcore Nuzlocke of Ultra Moon, so stay tuned and pray for me, please. This game is going to be the death of me, I swear. With that, adios.